everyone, this is Jesús Benito again. This session discusses Stephen Frears' Dirty Pretty Things, a social realist film about illegal immigration and organ trafficking operating at a shady hotel in London. The hotel becomes a particularly appropriate site for the exploration of national hospitality towards strangers. The hospitality industry is one of the central points of destination for strangers and immigrants, while the hotel itself is a metonym for the nation. By setting his film around a hotel with immigrant workers and cosmopolitan travelers, Stephen Frears contrasts the nature of British hospitality towards financial elites with the inhospitality towards invisible migrants. This session explores how the film presents a radical critique of the hidden, dirty capitalist relations of exploitation and oppression that support the very inhospitable Western economies. The film centers on the Baltic Hotel in London, where different migrants come together. We follow the experiences of Okwe, a Nigerian doctor and now undocumented immigrant in London. He drives a cab in the daytime and works at the hotel at night. Okwe shares an apartment with Senay, a Turkish woman seeking asylum. Okwe and Senay accidentally unveil a clandestine organ trafficking operation led by the hotel manager, Señor Juan, also known as Sneaky, a dodgy fellow of Spanish name and looks. As part of the organ harvesting and sales operation, undocumented migrants are coerced into selling their organs and putting their life in danger in exchange for a fake passport and a legal identity. The film dwells on the classical split between natural life and political life, Zoe and bias. The two sides of the self follow divergent paths. For the illegal migrants, the road to a unified political identity comes to rest on the fragmentation of the physical self. The natural life is sacrificed at the altar of the political. The film offers a new approach to the traditional postmodern motif of the multiplication of identity, as it represents the devastating fragmentation of the undocumented migrant's body. In the absence of a national citizenship and a coherent political identity, the undocumented migrant is reduced to little more than a collection of body parts and labor skills that fail to cohere into a whole, well-rounded human subject. At one point in the movie, Okwe claims that undocumented migrants are the people you do not see. They figure as embodiment of Butler's image of spectral beings, those with no names, no faces, and no family, those who occupy the known places of globalization. Frears' film works against the background of deep-rooted views of illegal immigrants as parasitically feeding on the national welfare system. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair declared in 2005 that British traditions were under threat from those who come and live here illegally by breaking our rules and abusing our hospitality. Blair was invoking a biological analogy. Undocumented immigrants and refugees figure as parasites, living on and in the body of a national host, which provides nourishment and shelter. Frears' film responds to the troubling silences implicit in such views by giving voice to the exploited, to the undocumented migrant workers, the ghosts of British economy. The first scene presents Okwe driving his cab. As an agent of local flows, he is soliciting passengers at Heathrow Airport, the site of global flows. Ironically, two forms of displacement come together in the scene. as undocumented migrant without a legal work permit, Okwe is confined within the exploitable margins of the nation, trapped in his own immobility. In contrast, the cosmopolitan travelers he serves enjoy a form of legalized, sanctioned mobility. When Okwe ironically remarks to some potential clients, "I am here to rescue those that have been let down by the system," the ambiguity becomes self-evident. Rather than pointing towards traveling elites in need of transportation, the remark refracts back on Okwe himself. He is the abandoned being, the individual that has been let down by the system. The Baltic Hotel emerges as a microscopic replica of the nation-state. It refracts the practices and politics of the nation itself, with its margins and centers, its hosts and guests, its areas of visibility and invisibility, and its right of admission. Okwe and Senai enter through the door marked "Staff Only," which is reserved for illegal workers. They are spatially confined to the less visible parts of the hotel, the basement, the kitchen, the parking garage, in contrast to the lobby, which is used by guests. The microcosmic partitions of the hotel are then refracted on the city itself as we follow Okwe's daily itinerary through London. However, rather than focusing on border geopolitics, the film represents the spatial partitions resulting from the global political economy. State-oriented modes of space and identity give way to capitalist relations of power and exploitation within the city of London. In a very telling scene, Okwe jumps off the window in Senai's apartment to escape from the unexpected visit of a pair of immigration officers. The fear of being deported makes Okwe run out without time to collect his shoes. The image of Okwe walking barefoot on the streets not only conveys the vulnerability of the illegal migrant. Giorgio Agamben famously qualifies undocumented migrants and refugees as bare life. That is, life which exists within the juridical order only by being actively excluded from it. This is Okwe's image on the streets of London, with bare feet, excluded from the apartment. In his well-known thesis on perpetual peace, Kant sees international trade as a guarantee against hostility towards strangers, since it is in the mutual interest of nation-states to act hospitably towards visitors. Now, the film shifts this problematic from the space of the nation-state to the relationships between vulnerable and exploited migrants, wealthy cosmopolitan travelers, and dominant and exploitive crooks. Dirty Pretty Things explores the perverse dynamic of the free capitalist flow of goods, as opposed to the constrained flow of migrants and refugees. The film takes this one step further in representing a world of flows where the migrant's mobility remains blocked, but his body organs enjoy the free capitalist flow. Hospitality reveals its dark face in the film. Dirty Pretty Things underlines how the migrant experience contradicts the parasitical readings of official political discourse. The film rewrites the familiar pattern of hospitality, which compels us to identify migrants with guests and target countries with hosts. Instead, the film focuses on human organs leaving one body and being absorbed into another. The body becomes a material commodity devoured in a global economy of exploitation and consumption. As migrants provide the organs that will be hosted by the national body, the foreign guest instills new life in the decaying national host. The film gives us a version of what we could call cannibalistic hospitality, by which the other is absorbed into the body of the self. The body of the guest nurtures and makes the life of the host possible. At the end of the film, Okwe finds out that, in her desperation, Senai is trading her kidney for a fake passport. In a significant power reversal, Okwe manages to drug Sneaky, Señor Juan, and remove his kidney instead of Senai's, finally collecting the money they need to secure their fake passports. In this unlikely happy ending, the film envisions a form of micro-political resistance to the macro-political capitalist structures. The exploited, those who represent bare life, become political subjects again through their successful challenge to the hotel's dirty business. The radical instability of hospitality, that of hosts becoming guests, of hosts becoming hostages, is at least temporarily reinserted into political space. With the publication of Kant's thesis on perpetual peace, and specifically since the development of the nation-state, the issue of hospitality was seen within a state-centric political imaginary, with state borders as sites of fortification and transgression. Frears' film, however, relocates the scene of hospitality beyond state-oriented geopolitics. The national border, now assumed as inescapably porous, is no longer the central site of objection. It is true that Dirty Pretty Things begins and ends with border scenes at the airport, but the whole action takes place in the economic underworld of London. Border dynamics get replicated on a daily basis in the perverse spaces of capitalist exploitation. Migrant hospitality, then, is no longer a generous personal welcoming of the stranger, not even a national policy issue to be ritualized at the border. It is now, as the film seems to propose, located beyond geopolitical discourses on national space, and situated at the heart of what we could call an economics of inhospitality.